Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode. I'm Dr. Jen Lowry, and I'm so thrilled to have a very special guest with us, Kiri Jorgensen, the founder and publisher of Chicken Scratch Books. It's such a joy to have this space where we can come together and share our heart for clean reads and middle grade books that matter. I know this conversation is going to inspire readers, it's going to inspire me. So I just want to welcome you, Kiri, and then I want to talk a little bit more about who you are so everybody in the audience can know you. So, she's the
Thank
publisher
you.
and senior editor at Chicken Scratch Books. She's also a writer, teacher, entrepreneur, and most importantly, a wife and mother. Her involvement in the world of children's literature spans almost 3 decades with perspectives from many angles. Writer, editor, organizational leader, writing instructor for both kids and adults. She also taught school for 16 years, where she specialized in gifted and rural education. She loves all books middle grade, but in her heart, she is a teacher. Chicken Scratch Books lets her combine all her passions. Besides the world of teaching and story, Carrie loves gardening, sewing quilts, being in nature, and bragging about her four amazing kids. She lives with her husband and a plethora of animals in rural Montana, where she cooks her meals on a wood burning cook stove and is grateful for every day for being right where she is. So, welcome again, Carrie. So nice to have you on the show.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's great to be here. I love being able to talk about chicken scratch and be with like-minded people who love and appreciate and see the need for clean reads for kids and uplifting literature for kids, just how vital that is in our families. And so this is great to be here.
So you've got to really take us back in a like calendar thinking back of how did all of this begin? Like what inspired you to start Chicken Scratch Books?
That's a great question. And like you mentioned in telling them about who I am, I've been part of the children's book world for a long time. And as part of that, both as a teacher and as a writer and as an organization leader, I watched as things in the mainstream publishing world shifted. First, it was pretty gradual. At first, they were, the books started coming out that had some things that were just a little bit off. And I'm like, well, that's fine. I just won't have my kids read those books. That's okay. But as time progressed, more and more agendas were taking priority over quality of writing and quality of storytelling. And I started to recognize the impact these agendas were having on kids as I was working in schools and working with my own children who were all incredibly avid readers. And so as I was watching this shift happen, I was still, in the middle of all of it and loving all of it and just being part of the whole world. But there was a particular moment, and this happened. Oh, it's probably been almost 9 or 10 years ago now. I'd actually organized a writing conference for SCBWI here in Montana. I was the regional advisor, and we brought in a big name editor and an agent from New York, and we were doing our whole big conference, the spiel. Everybody's giving their presentations, and the editor from a major publishing house gave her presentation, and then she was opened it up for questions. And we had one of our members who introduced himself and started to tell about his story that he had written. And it was a middle grade superhero story. And he was excitedly telling about this story. And he was telling about how, the main character discovers that his hero is gay. And he's troubled by that. The main character is troubled by that. And he struggles anyway, this man is explaining his story. And the editor interrupted him, cut him off, and said, no. And everybody was kind of shocked. And she said, no, you cannot portray a character struggling with information about sexual identity. You cannot portray a character who is upset when he discovers his hero is gay. We have to, in children's literature, portray the ideal as if it already exists. That's how she said it. She said, we have to portray instant acceptance. There can be no negativity attached. There can be no questioning. There can be no wondering. It has to be instant acceptance and positive from every side. If you don't do that, you won't be published. And she said everything so bluntly, and it was shocking to all of us. And it literally was in that moment that I sat back and I said, "That's not okay. That
Because yeah, because
is
children do wonder.
children."
Children will question. We have to have those places, these safe spaces in books to be able to do that.
And not only that, but just the age appropriateness of
Right, right,
introducing concepts and ideas that, yes, every child does need to be exposed to, but not, and so many of these agendas need to wait until they're at the young adult level. This should
right,
not be coming in at picture books, at chapter books, at middle grade fiction. No, it's not realistic, A, and it's not appropriate, B. And I at that moment is when I essentially separated myself from the mainstream publishing world and said, "This is not okay." At that point, I mean, it still took me several years to of being frustrated and wondering what I can do, what can happen in this setting. And there was one particular evening where my husband and I were ranting about the state of the children's publishing world. And I said, "Somebody needs to do something about this." And he looked at me and he said, "Kiri, maybe you need to do something about this." And that
I
was really
love
the
it.
moment that Chicken Scratch Books was born.
I love
But
it. But your moment was in a your calling, I believe, was just your passion for clean reads at young ages,
yes,
right in the middle of that writing conference.
yes,
So
that's
I
where
felt like
that's where
that
it was.
was like a God-given moment that even though it took you a few years to figure out what was the next thing,
Yep.
um, yeah. I love that journey of yours and your husband right there beside you, supporting you, going, maybe you should be the one to do
Yes,
it.
maybe you're the one, Kiri.
And
And I
so
said,
when you
"Oh,
had
maybe
that
so."
when you had that moment with your husband and he was like, okay, maybe you're the one, how long did it take you to say, okay, this is actually going to be a thing? And first, Chicken Scratch Books, I just absolutely love the name. It makes me smile every single time I say it, every time I see it online. And when I was even looking at the finalists for the Realm Makers Awards, and I saw Chicken Scratch Books, I was like, yes, go,
Yes,
lady, go.
yes,
Um,
very exciting.
I just every time I see just the title, like where did all of that start out? Like, how did you know middle grades specifically? How did you know Chicken Scratch Books? I've got to hear it.
Okay. I middle grade has just been my niche my whole life. It's what I write. It's what I read. When I was working with students, I taught middle grade ages. I edited all of my editing work that I've done over the years has been middle grade, has been my focus. That's just kind of my niche. And I do, I have now obviously over even more time in this intense focus with Chicken Scratch Books. I've developed systems for editing and the processes of editing and recognizing strong middle grade fiction. I feel like I am definitely, that's my niche. That's my expertise is in middle grade. And as far as the name Chicken Scratch Books, that was another one of my husband things. It just kind of happened. We were, what could we call this company? It has to do with writing. It has to do with traditional values, and we have chickens and we live rural. And he just said, "What about Chicken Scratch? Chicken Scratch also means writing." And we're like, "Yeah, that's cute. Chicken Scratch
It is
Books."
so
And,
cute. It
and
is
we just
so cute.
a simple logo, and very
Mhm.
very fun. It carries a nuance of traditional life, traditional values, and specific to writing. So that's where that came from. No big story. I wish there was a big story. People ask me
No,
all the
that's a cute it's a cute story though. It's so cute. I just love it. I love that origin story, talking about superheroes. I look at you as like a superhero out there in the publishing world. And I think about how people ask definitions of clean reads and how companies may differ in what clean reads means to them. Um, I think you and I have a very similar filter of what we mean by clean reads, but could you explain to our audiences, like when you are pitching your books to families, homeschool groups, how do you go about getting that message across to them? I heard you say traditional values. You were
Yes.
saying that as you were talking about this is our company, this is what we stand for. It's more than just a brand, it's who we are. But like, how do you get that message across to your audiences so that they can be clear on what to expect with your company?
That's a great question. That's something that we've been working on since we started. Our first book came out in March of 21, so we are a young company. But when we promote and when we pitch directly to our customers or in any of our advertising, we're very clear about our brand. We're a little bit different that way as a publisher in that we're not just promoting books, we're promoting our brand and who we are. The goal is to help parents understand that they can trust every title that we publish. Our books are clean, they're based in traditional values, no social agendas hidden in the background. Those are kind of the three main talking points that we use. We also spend a lot of time talking about virtues and how every character in every one of our books grows. Every main character has growth that occurs, personal growth through the events of the story. And yes, there are adventures and there's mysteries and there's fantasy, but the character is learning important virtues and virtuous skills. So I always say too that we're not a Christian publisher because we don't include direct doctrine or scripture in our books, but every one of our books are solidly grounded in Judeo-Christian values.
Yeah.
And so those virtues that are universal to every good soul are what we focus on in our books. And that's what our main character learns, whether it's resilience or integrity or how to forgive themselves. These are virtues and virtuous skills that our main characters are learning. And
Ah,
we want to help parents use literature, good, strong, quality literature that's virtue based to parents can use it as a tool
yep.
in
Yep.
virtue training in their own homes. And what a great tool great stories are. I love not just entertainment. Books are great for entertainment, but they're also good for so much more. And that is a big part of what we do. Besides publishing books, we also create courses, online courses to go along
Yes.
with our books. And one of our courses is specific for virtue training. Our other course is specific for academic training because I'm a teacher and I love teaching literature. And so we do in addition to publishing great books, we also just get to teach using the books as tools, which is such a fun thing for me.
I love that, and I think that's what makes your style very unique, is that you offer that total package, especially for families who are looking for a safe online space for
Yes.
their, children to be able to engage with. So, just thank you for all that you're doing. I've
Thank
gotta
you.
hear, like, typical day in your publishing world, or is there a typical day?
Oh man,
Like,
that's
is there one that's
that's a fun question too. I teach online lessons to university students occasionally, and they often ask me that. What does it look like? And this is actually something I love about. I mean, it fits great for me. I have a very active brain. If I was a young student now, I'm sure I would be marked as ADHD. And I like to have so many things happening all the time. And I'm also a very even-brained person, meaning I'm very left-brain. I'm very organized. I'm very mathematical and linear thinking, but I'm also very creative. I've got strong on both halves, and because of that, I love the variety of what I get to do. I love the editing, the reading, the editing, the working with the writers, but I also really enjoy the production side of coming up with the cover work and working with my production team to get the illustrator just how we want it to be presented. I actually I am my website builder and designer and upkeeper, and definitely makes me pull my hair out regularly. But I actually love that challenge of that side of things as well. I love interacting with my customers. I love interacting with my authors. Um, there's so many pieces to running a business, and that works for me. I get to do a little bit of everything. A decision that I made early on with Chicken Scratch is that I felt strongly that I needed to do every single aspect myself so that I understood where my strongest talents would be best focused. And then I can hire out where the stuff that really doesn't matter if I do it or not. And that's kind of the direction I've taken with it. And I've been able to huge learning curve in so many ways. Even though I've been involved in the publishing world for a long time, I'm sure Jen is you can relate to this. When you start a publishing company, there is so much more involved than you understand
Oh,
when
yes.
you start off. You can have a vision, you can have a dream, and then when you get into the nitty gritty, it's like, whoa, there's a lot here.
Yeah,
There's a lot
a
involved.
lot,
A lot
a
involved,
lot.
but I love every aspect of it. And I was just
Yeah.
talking to my husband again this morning. I love what I do from every side, and from the education side, the editing and production side, the distribution side, the marketing and sales. I travel around to homeschool conventions all over the country, doing direct sales and doing presentations to homeschool families, and I love every part of what I do except for the airports. I'm not a
Oh,
travel person, but
no.
I've never been a big traveler. That was actually a hurdle I had to overcome with this. I'm a homebody. That's why I live in rural Montana. But
Yeah.
but I do love going to the conventions themselves and being there with these amazing families that are desperate and searching for clean content they can trust for their kids. The whole industry has shifted so drastically, and I've been tracking it for years. I actually have an actual tracking form that I fill out every year. And it's shocking what mainstream publishers have adopted to introduce to middle grade readers at younger and younger age with more and more depth and detail that is, in my opinion, extremely inappropriate for kids of that age. And it's not just the social agendas as much as, I mean, definitely that's a huge part of it, but um,
The
the lifestyles
relationships.
that
Mm,
they're
yep.
portrayed, the ways kids are portrayed and how they interact with their parents and their siblings,
And
and
siblings. Yes.
the way they're portrayed and how they interact with their teachers and other adults in their lives. It's really interesting to me that that somehow is being portrayed as the
The
norm.
norm,
It's
and it's
not the norm.
perpetuated, and it's
Yes,
perpetuated, and it's
yes,
like we can't get away from it. It's in their face all the time, whether it's
yes. Every
on
kind of media. Mhm.
there's any type of media, and so
Yes,
it makes it like the norm, and so we've got to step outside of that space and be able to create a place where, like you said, traditional values, integrity, resilience, but relationships, the
yes.
meaning and truth behind you can have healthy relationships with your family. You can have healthy relationships with
And fun.
siblings,
Mhm.
friends, your school environment. It doesn't have to be like that toxic relationship or negative energy in spaces
Yes,
always. And so
yes,
I appreciate books that highlight struggles. Sure, all
yes.
children are
And
having
growth has to
struggles, and
happen. Yeah,
it's coming of age and they're figuring things out. And I get that part of literature and I respect that part. But we also have to be mindful of how we are perpetuating a message too. And I think in the clean read space, we just have a golden opportunity to
yes,
grab the hearts of our readers and really make that place shine for them and just give them a place of light. Like everything is so dark out there. Like
yes.
let's just give them a place of light, of
I
a
love
place of hope, right? And even for our YA books on our line, like we tackle a lot of mental health issues.
that. Mhm.
Um, and I am, very proud to stand behind that work as a mental health advocate, and it is a reality that a lot of our young adults face, and we do have
Yes.
those struggles, but we've got to give them a place of light. And I just value so much of what you're doing. I'm so excited to watch your journey and to see you continue to grow and expand.
Thank
Like
you.
thinking about for you, how do authors even contact you? Like if there's somebody out there watching it right now and they say, "Oh, I love this lady. I love her mission." Um, first read all of the Chicken Scratch books. Like, I think it's really I don't know if you feel the same way. I'd love your thoughts on this, but when we're approached as publishers and people are talking with us about what we do, support our authors, read our authors' books, see what
Yes.
we love,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
support our company, find out who our authors are, connect with them. That's just my personal take, and read, support, buy our books, have them on your bookshelf like you do with your other books that you love, and learn about Clean Reads companies. Do you feel the same way? Like people should just embrace the company as a whole?
Yes. And the I've got so many the authors that I have signed that we've worked with. I've got a fabulous pool of authors. They love Chicken Scratch. They love what we stand for. They love what our mission is. They love the educational side. They love the virtue focus. They love what we're doing. And so if you're a writer and you would love to submit to Chicken Scratch, we are open to submissions. We have a submission form on our website that writers, it's only open 3 times a year for a week. And so watch how when that's coming up. The next one actually is coming up the
Oh,
first week of May.
right around the
It's
corner, everybody,
right
right around.
around the corner. But we have a very specific focus. We have a specific brand. And I get submissions all the time that are really strong writing, but they just don't fit what we're trying, the voice of what we are trying to portray. And, I can appreciate strong stories and strong writing, but it also has to fit with
Right,
who we
right.
are. And so make sure you know who we are before you submit. Yes.
I think that's so important. I think it's so important. I have to ask you just final words of wisdom from you, like during those hard days. Like, what helps you to persevere through the hard days?
I I mentioned that we're not a Christian publisher. I am personally a very devout Christian.
Yes.
And the thing that gets me through is that I have had many, many experiences through this journey of reassurance and calm and peace, that even in those hard times and horrible days, we've had some horrible ones, that I have been prepared my whole life for this. And I didn't even know it. I have been prepared in the moment and I didn't even know it. And I have a partner right there with me, in the Lord Jesus Christ, and I'm so
Amen.
so grateful for that. He needs us to use our skills and our talents that we've been given to spread light in this dark world. Middle grade fiction is a teeny tiny little niche of this world, but it's a
Yeah.
place that I'm an expert in. I can spread light in this little tiny niche. And that's what I'm doing. And I know when that's my focus, that I will be supported in what I'm doing. And that sees me through. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to have best selling books and that we're going to fly off the shelves, but it does mean that I know I'm doing what I need to be doing. And that's what sees me through.
Yeah. You are doing good. You are doing good works. And I want to thank you so much for being here with us today. It's just been a joy. I was telling you before we started, like we've got to do more of these. Like we got to spend time
I would love that.
celebrating the voices of our Clean Reads authors,
Yes.
really connecting with our readers, with our families. I think collaboration also is key. And I just want you to know that I pray for you, and I just hope that you have
Thank
a
you.
tremendous season with your travels and with getting that name out there everywhere. I really appreciate the time you take too behind the scenes to encourage me. So I want to thank you for that. I think we've met a couple of times behind the scenes, and
We
it has
have, yes.
really uplifted me. Like just to spend time with someone with that passion and that love for Clean Reads, for what we do. That it's a calling. I truly
It
believe
is.
it's a calling, and it's just wonderful to share this space with you. So I know that our
Thank you,
listeners are
Jen.
going to love it. I've had your website scrolling on the bottom of this. So if you're catching the Spotify podcast, you can go ahead and call that out, Kiri, for everybody so they can know how to find you if they're not watching the video.
Yes, we are at chickenscratchbooks.com.
I had to
Everything
have
you
her
need to
say it.
know is right there. Our
I,
books, our courses, our submission window, everything is right on there. But I have to throw this out there too. I have a whole series of newsletters, 2.5 years worth of writing lessons for free. If you're a writer, sign up for my write letter is what it's called. We also have a book letter that goes out to anybody, but our write letter has some excellent middle grade writing instruction. Even if you don't write middle grade, just some really good stuff, and it's all free.
Awesome. Love that. Thank you so much again for being here with us today, Carrie.
You're welcome.
And
Thank you
to
for
all
having
of
me.
and to all of our listeners, like, thank you for sticking around, for believing in what we believe in, like the power of strong stories, clean reads, and for our publishers out there who are bringing these stories to life, reach out to us too. Like, I would love to meet other clean reads publishers. I'd love to showcase your work. So, if this episode has blessed you, please share it with your writing friends, your readers, in your families, and subscribe because you don't want to miss what's next. So, until next time, just guys, just thank you so much for being here. And I dropped.
That's okay. Hmm.
But thanks to everybody. And Carrie, thank you so much for joining us. And it's going live just a few minutes. So I appreciate
Thank
your
you for having me. I appreciate it a lot, Jen. Good to see you again.